Storytime about how my boss confessed to me that he likes me and now he's pressuring me to go out with him. Disclaimers in all my story time, send me on Instagram. I've been working at my job for 6 months now. Ever since I started, my boss has been very, very nice to me. If he gets himself coffee, he usually brings me one, and he always offers to buy me my lunch. Of course, I usually say no because I always bring my lunch with me. And also, I just think it's weird that he's always offering. Several times I caught him staring at me, and he would offer to do random things, like walk me to my car. In other words, he was showing a lot of interest. At first, I just wanted to believe that he was just a really nice guy, but I noticed that he wasn't that way with anyone else except for me. So anytime that he would offer to do something for me, or if he would bring me coffee, I made sure to say thank you and seem grateful. I told my boyfriend about my boss, and my boyfriend was convinced that my boss liked me. He told me I shouldn't be as nice as I was, but I didn't want to seem ungrateful or rude. A few weeks ago, we had an office party. Of course, my boyfriend came along with me and everything was fine. Everyone brought their husbands and wives, including my boss. By the way, his wife is super beautiful and really nice. She even had the party catered by one of the best restaurants in town. As my boyfriend and I were heading home, he turns to me and tells me, "Your boss definitely likes you." I asked him why he thought that, and he said that my boss couldn't stop staring at me the whole night. That's when my boyfriend insisted that I should just quit. We got into a huge argument that night. Part 2 is up. Storytime about how my boss confessed to me that he likes me and now he's pressuring me to date him. Part 2. My boyfriend told me that my boss had been staring at me the whole night. Then he started insisting that I should just quit my job. We basically fought the entire night. I told him I would never quit my job and that my boss was harmless. But it turns out that my boyfriend was right. When I went back to work, my boss started asking me a lot of questions about my boyfriend. He asked me how long we'd been together, if the relationship was serious, if we lived together. He tried to make it seem casual. On the 5th question, I asked my boss if he was okay. And he laughs and says, "I just want to make sure you got a good guy with you." But he sounded so jealous instead. A few days later, I caught my boss staring at me again. And this time I got really annoyed. I stared back at him and waved. That's when he waved back and smiled at me. At the end of the day, he offered to walk me to my car. And I said yes. As we were walking to my car, he starts telling me that he thought I looked really pretty at the party. And that he wanted to confess that he couldn't stop staring at me all night. That's when I turned to him and I said, "Yeah, my boyfriend noticed." He responds, "Well, your boyfriend's very lucky to be with you." And that I was clearly asking for attention with the dress that I wore. By the way, my dress was a long sleeve turtleneck that went below my knees. That's when he says, "There's nothing wrong with a little flirtation." Part 3 is up. Storytime about how my boss confessed to me that he likes me and now he's pressuring me into dating him. After he told me that there was nothing wrong with us flirting, I told him it was totally inappropriate and that I didn't feel comfortable with that. He then laughed and said, "You'll loosen up eventually." I went home and I told my boyfriend everything. My boyfriend went berserk. He started insisting that I quit again. I told him I could handle the situation, that my boss was not going to do anything to me. He then got so mad that he actually left to his parents' house. He told me he would come back to live with me after I quit. But here's the thing, if the tables were turned, I would never ask my boyfriend to quit his job because his boss was flirting with him. I love my job and I don't think it's fair that I have to quit because my boss is flirting with me. Instead, I decided that I would go back to work and simply ignore my boss. But this actually had the opposite effect. My boss started coming on to me even stronger. He came up to me while I was having lunch and asked me if I was ignoring him. I was honest and said yes, a little. That's when he told me that we should talk after work. He walked me to my car and on the way, he told me that he likes me and that he's liked me since the day I started working there. He even said that it's pretty much the only reason why I got the job. But then of course he complimented me on all my work. As he was saying all of this, I just stayed quiet. I really didn't know how to respond. That's when my boss tells me that we should go on a date and that we could have a fruitful relationship. I love my job so much, I'm actually considering saying yes to at least one date. My boyfriend is still not talking to me, by the way. Now my boss even sends me text messages telling me how good I look in the office. And no, I can't report him to anybody. And I don't want to jeopardize my job. Last week, my boss even gave me a raise. And to be honest, I'm really happy about it. My dream is to buy myself a house. But at what cost? Should I say yes to just one date? Or should I say no and suffer the consequences? Or should I quit? But that's not fair either. What do you guys think I should do?
Storytime about how I accidentally waterboarded myself at the gym. I was feeling dizzy before a workout as I was a bit dehydrated. Usually I go to McDonald's and grab a large unsweet iced tea for the gym. It's better than coffee, wakes me up for the workout, and it's only $1, but I hadn't done that on this day. That was my first screw up. In my slight lightheadedness, I decided to get some water from the fountain in the middle of the workout. Screw up number 2. After an hour on the treadmill, my throat starts to stick a little. I had my mask on and was doing a slow jog about 7 miles per hour, just enough for me to breathe through the mask and didn't have to remove it once during the hour spent on the machine. I hop off the treadmill and the first feeling I get is a rush of blood running away from my brain. It only lasted a second, but anyone getting up too fast from sitting or squatting a long time will know the feeling. It's similar to the dizzy feeling when being drunk. This was a good time for that drink, but because of COVID, the fountains were turned off and you're supposed to bring your own water. Oops. Okay, whatever, I'll power through this. I was doing light weights that day anyway. It'll be fine. Screw up number 3. At the end, my shirt was very sweaty and I'm feeling very dizzy and lightheaded, but it passes. Anyone who's had that feeling would know it's actually a little euphoric, and a great end is a shower. This is also where I should point out that I'm in terrible COVID condition. My belly is huge and my mother pointed out that I looked pregnant when I went to open the fridge door without my shirt on. In my dehydration, I'm not drunk dizzy, but impaired enough to forget to take off my shirt and mask as I take my towel with me to the shower. There's no one else taking a shower as it was a pretty early workout, so I head to my usual stall by habit, which is close to the entrance. I turn on the shower and let the water hit my chest. The feeling is amazing. I'm still in my sweaty shirt and decide to take it off, with my mask still on. The shirt sticks to my skin and rotund belly, making it very hard to remove. Now both my arms are up and the shirt is stuck to my face with the mask, and the water is now filtering through the shirt and mask, blocking my nostrils. This is where I find out how horrible waterboarding is. However, that's not even the worst part. Part 2 of how I accidentally waterboarded myself at the gym. The wet mask and shirt make it instantly extremely hard to breathe as the nostrils are blocked. Instinct says to use my mouth, which is also blocked, and I start to hyperventilate, which sends water into the lungs and causes me to cough and panic. I take a few steps back with my arms still up and spin around to get away from the water. Two very strong arms lift up my shirt and my mask with it, whereupon I'm confronted with two ebony pecs even The Rock would be envious of. Just below these godly pecs are abs of Hercules that puts my pear-shaped physique to shame. That's when the water decides to leave my lungs and I start hacking. Connected to this torso of discipline and genes of envy, I'm hacking spit onto the biggest weeby I've ever seen on this side of corn. The glorious footlong is inches from my face where previously only a Subway sandwich had been. The manliest of hands pat my back like a baby being burped. Through tears and embarrassment, we both realize there's a third person that just walked in. Me bent over coughing in the heat from this giant schlong caressing my face. Said person turns on his heels and nopes out. I utter some thanks to my savior and we both decide it's best not to talk about it and finish our showers. Mine was the shortest shower I'd ever had. I rushed to dress and possibly find the third person to hopefully explain, but he was gone by then. On my way out, the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, whose Johnson was inches away from my face, was done with his shower. He has a look of don't say anything, but I spend a few minutes with him thanking him as he's getting dried and dressed. He seems cool with it, I think, but I haven't been back in weeks.
Am I the asshole for using my boyfriend's toothbrush to clean the toilet whenever I get mad at him? Anytime I get mad at him, I just find little ways to sabotage him. Disclaimer is not my story time, is that I mean Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years. From the beginning of the relationship, I had to chase him. He was dating a few girls when I first met him, but I managed to bag him. The problem is that he knows that I was the one that was chasing him. He never had to court me or anything, so he knows he can get away with a lot. For example, we live together and he never cleans the apartment. He automatically assumes that I will do his laundry, his cooking, and cleaning. I have to make the bed every single morning when we both get up. I have to make him his breakfast and literally be his mother the entire day. Worst of all, we've both been working from home because of COVID, so this means I have to cater to him all day long, even when I'm in my meetings. And because I don't want to cause any fights or confront him about it, I started to retaliate in my own way. Number 1, I started cleaning the toilet with his toothbrush. Sounds terrible, I know. I need some way to release this anger though. It gets worse. Part 2 is up. Am I the asshole for using my boyfriend's toothbrush to clean the toilet? Because he uses me as his personal maid, I had to find a way to retaliate. Using his toothbrush on the toilet was the clear answer, but it didn't stop there. Anytime he would leave his dishes unclean or ask me to do his laundry, I started to do other things. Recently, I've been putting dairy in his food, which I know he can't have because it gives him the runs. I switched out his special shampoo for regular old Dollar Tree shampoo. Anytime his packages would arrive, I would just hide them somewhere in the apartment, and whenever he would go crazy waiting for it, I would finally say, "Oh, this package? Oh, that's been here for like 4 days already." The look on his face was so worth it. A few nights ago, after I worked all day and cleaned and made him his food, he asked me for a massage. By the way, it was 7 p.m. and I was finally ready to relax myself. So I told him that I didn't feel like it because I was tired. Instead, I poured myself a glass of wine, sat down on the couch, and started watching a movie. He decided to throw a tantrum. He stood in front of the TV and asked me for a massage again. I mean, he's a grown man. Part 3 is up. Am I the asshole for using my boyfriend's toothbrush to clean the toilet? After he stood in front of the TV blocking my view, he asked me for a massage a second time. And once again, I said no, I'm tired. Then he starts complaining about the lunch I made him. He said the pasta was overcooked and the sauce tasted weird, which it probably did because I did put dairy in it. Instead of holding my ground, I told him fine. And I proceeded to give him a 30-minute massage when I was so tired myself. I'm sure you're wondering if I love him. The answer is yes. I love him very much, which is why I don't want to break up with him, but I'm really close to having had enough. He never offers to help me. He never offers me a massage. He expects me to clean and do everything for him. When I've asked him for help, he doesn't really want to. So I don't think he's gonna change that part of himself. But I do have fun with him and he's an amazing guy. I don't know what to do. Should I leave him? Should I stay? Or do you guys have any ideas on what sabotages I could do next? Help a girl out. Bye.
Am I the asshole for wanting my girlfriend to pay me for staying home with their son while she goes to work? We have a 10-month-old together and moved in with their mom when we found out she was pregnant. She works a corporate job and I work for a small business owned by my uncle. Our son is in daycare 4 days a week and my girlfriend's mom watches him the other days. But like any baby, he gets sick and we have to stay home and watch him. My girlfriend had 3 months of maternity leave and my uncle gave me 2 weeks of half-paid leave. All of my PTO days except for 2 were used to stay home with our son. My wife also gets a lot more sick and vacation days than I do. We also have separate finances. Anyways, there's been a bug at the daycare and he's had to stay home for 5 days the past 2 weeks. I've stayed for 4. Am I the asshole for wanting my girlfriend to pay me for staying home with their son? Because I'm out of PTO, I asked that she either stay home with him more often when he's sick or pay me for staying home. Since our finances are separate, I feel she's prioritizing her career over us. She got defensive and ranted about how she feels marginalized at work already and doesn't want to get overlooked for promotions. She said she feels constant pressure because she doesn't want to seem less devoted because she has a kid. She said her money is our money and it's not her fault that I ran out of PTO days. She said we're saving by living with her mom, and since she earns more, she should be the one working more often. Also that women have sacrificed their careers for decades so men can go to work. Am I wrong?